Have any Democrats made such a clear case against attacking Venezuela? The answer is no, which is crazy. I know that we are having a hard time dealing with, the multifaceted, multiple front war that Donald Trump is engaging in. Oh, I wanted to talk about this. And yeah, I lost the playlist. Thank you, Themasius. So the New York City mayor debate is going to start. There's a Seniors for Zoran bingo night taking place. Street vendors were targeted in ICE raids in New York City's Canal Street. Obviously, that's going to be talked about tonight at the debate. I'll get into that in a second. But before I do that, I wanted to bring up a bold and brave patriotic American. As leftists, we don't care about the identity politics of just having a specific tattoo, but nothing about Plattner's inspires confidence, even from a reformist perspective. Okay, let's move on, please. Is Hasan still going in circles about Plattner, or the disingenuous chatters gone? No, they're not gone. They're still in here. We're going to talk about a brave American patriot, Rand Paul, who seemingly made one of the most convincing arguments against the brutal anti-drug trafficking attacks against fishermen off the coastline of Venezuela and Colombia that I've heard from an American congressperson. As a matter of fact, it turns out there are congresspersons who are anti-war. Let's see. Let's take a look.
Number one, there is no fentanyl made in Venezuela. Not just a little bit. There's none being made in Venezuela. These are outboard boats that, in order for them to get to Miami, would have to stop and refuel 20 times. They're in all likely going to Trinidad and Tobago, which is an island right off of the coast of Venezuela. So there's a lot of reasons to be worried about this. But number one is the...
Yeah. Also, NPR and numerous other journalists have actually interviewed some of the family members of the victims of unrestrained American violence in the region, including the Trini fishermen. And their family members literally said, oh, one of the biggest concerns right now is that there is a back and forth connection between Trinidad and Tobago and Venezuela, where people actually bring supplies back and forth. And you can, from drone footage, that looks like you have a bunch of packages on your boat. And now we can't even bring supplies back and forth on these fast boats because they'll justify it. They'll take a photo of it. They'll destroy it. They'll destroy the boat, the fishermen, or the people who are trading supplies and whatnot. And then they'll say it's drugs.
Broader principle of when can you people indiscriminately? When you're at war. That's why when we declare war, it's supposed to be done by Congress. It's supposed to be thoughtful. It's supposed to be debated. And we're not supposed to do it willy-nilly. And then when you have war, you just people in the war zone.
Why is he attacking Trump? Does he think he can attract Dems to his dumbass libertarian agenda? No, not everything that some politicians engage in is cynical. I need you to understand something. There are some kooky-ass politicians, and they've always existed in American Congress. He's one of them. He is exactly the kind of guy who goes, no spending bills. He will not vote for a spending bill because he's like, I fundamentally don't believe that the American government should engage in any expenditures. Okay? He's insane. And luckily, as an insane guy who is a real and committed believer in the anti-war stuff as a libertarian, this is one of the few instances, one of the few unique moments where, like, he will actually just be like, no, I have this principle. I have this principle stance. It's a bit like Thomas Massie, right? Thomas Massie is a monster on every other issue. And yet when it comes to Israel, Thomas Massie's like, no, dog, they're doing a genocide. No weapons for genocide. That's it. Thomas Massie is so kooky and so crazy. He was one of the Republican politicians that was yelled at for a while because he had those Christmas cards where him and his entire family had like M60 automatic machine guns that they were holding up for Christmas cards. Okay, they're insane. These guys are insane. But even insane people sometimes can be principled. And of course, because by and large, American politicians are so unprincipled that we look at a guy who's crazy, but then also principled on this issue, and we go, what's the sinister reason behind this? Nope, he is just that guy. Okay? It's a broken clock style situation. Okay? In the tax world, Rand Paul refuses to sign any income tax treaty. But I will admit that I have a soft spot, not even for like Rand Paul in general, but like I do have a soft spot for the kooks and the crazies, because kooks and the crazies who are principled when it comes to like anti-war and stuff, or anti-intervention, or throughout American history, you've had like congresspersons who are a little wild, but have hyper focused on like our domestic espionage activities, for example, right? Like they are the ones who have famously set up committees and have actively gone after shit like this. Okay, that's the reason why Cato Institute, which is insane when it comes to everything else, because they're a libertarian think tank, is one of the most reliable resources for pro-immigration arguments, because they are open borders libertarians, and they do actually dive into the data and conduct studies on, for example, one of the most famous ones that I use all the time is the crime study conducted on non-citizens, undocumented non-citizens and their proclivity towards crime versus documented non-citizens and their proclivity towards crime versus U.S.-born American citizens and their proclivity towards crime. That is a Cato Institute study. This guy said there are open border libertarians. Damn, brother, libertarians back in the day before Trump were anti-cop, pro-drug abolition, and open borders, for open borders. The longest time used to be the jokingly referred to as the pot smoking Republicans. Okay, that is what they are supposed to be, and some of which are so crazy that they would sincerely argue at the libertarian Libertarian Party's elections. They would sincerely argue against like licenses, driver's licenses. Okay, do you hear what I'm saying? Driver's licenses. Libertarians also used to be anti-surveillance state. Donald Trump obviously took a lot of that, took a lot of the motion off of libertarians and made them all loyal servants of the police state. But yeah, here, if you want to get a little taste, here is Gary Johnson supporting and going up against someone who I've debated as well, Larry Elder, and getting booed at the libertarian debate for supporting driver's licenses. That's real.
Should someone have to have a government-issued license to drive a car?
Hell no.
What's next? Requiring a license to make toast in your own damn toaster?
The license to drive? You know, I'd like to see some competency exhibited by people before they drive.
Is this a SNL skit? No. SNL could never be this funny organically. This is just the libertarian debate, the Libertarian Party presidential debate. I didn't even get to the consistent principle that libertarians also hold on to when it comes to age of consent. I didn't want to shit on them too hard, but you know, I think we all know. Anyway, but yeah, if you're confused by why Rand Paul is saying this, make no mistake, he is anti-interventionist.
And even then there are rules of engagement. But interdicting drugs has always been a criminal activity and a criminal anti-crime sort of activity where we don't just summarily execute people. We actually present evidence and convict them.
Yeah. And this person asks a wonderful question. Have any Democrats made such a clear case against attacking Venezuela? The answer is no, which is crazy. I know that we are having a hard time dealing with the multifaceted, multiple front war that Donald Trump is engaging in. Okay, whether it be foreign policy such as continuing the genocide in Israel, or whether it be the foreign policy of like going back and forth on what must be done in Ukraine. Okay. Or whether it be blowing up random fishermen boats off the coast of Venezuela as he entertains going to war with Venezuela, hot war, real war. And yet, Democrats are silent on this. As Trump openly plots regime change in Venezuela, top Dems' response ranges from silence to half-hearted opposition. It's crazy. Like, there are so many opportunities for the Dems to just make a fuss. There are so many opportunities for the Democrats to make a fuss about $40 billion being sent to Argentina so that we can bail out not only Argentina, but also bail out one of Scott Bessent's friends who bought too much Argentinian debt. Okay. Meanwhile, Trump is talking about cutting spending on pre-allocated infrastructure programs in blue states and in blue cities. What the are we doing? All the while, he is trying to deploy the military into blue states and blue cities. All the while, he's trying to foment some kind of race war. All the while, he is sicking ICE, an unaccountable federal law enforcement apparatus, on unsuspecting migrants and also citizens alike. And they're shooting people and they're people. And the guys are getting their notes from random content creators online.